Hello Internet, I am the Hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece video. We don't have a chapter this week, so my brother actually suggested that I work on giving out my thoughts on the second trailer of the One Piece Netflix series that's coming out. So, it's, not really, my opinion hasn't changed a ton since the first trailer. I have my concerns here and there, but without further ado, I'll get right into it. It starts off with Roger's speech, and it's Roger telling, the tale of his exploits, the wealth, the fame, the power, all that good stuff, and telling people to head out to the sea. And we actually see the actors for Garp and Roger in this little opening, or at least I'm assuming that that's Garp. They both look pretty accurate. Roger's smiling the whole time, so he will die smiling, which is very important to any character who holds the will of D. Like if they get to Ace eventually, like I don't know, based on just Netflix budget in general, I feel like whether this turns out horribly or fantastically, we are going to get a second season whether we want it or not. So, if the second season like really saves it, or the first season does fantastically and second season just does even better, eventually we're going to get to moments like the death of Ace. And with that, you need to keep in mind the important things that we already know about the series, such as a character with the will of D dying while smiling. That is something they all have in common, which makes me wonder if Blackbeard is going to die in the One Piece. Like, Luffy will defeat him. Like, that goes without saying. But will Blackbeard die, and will Blackbeard die smiling? That's an interesting theory for another day. One thing I am hoping to see in Roger's execution scene is, and this comes down to whether or not Netflix wants to pay this much attention to detail, but with all the knowledge we have, thousands of chapters, well, not thousands, hundreds, 1,000 chapters ahead of where we are right now, we have a ton of foreshadowing we can do that we couldn't do when the series first came out, because even Oda wasn't foreshadowing it. But you could have in that audience a young Doflamingo, a young Gecko Moria. You could have Crocodile in there, Mihawk, the little young Shanks and Buggy in the crew. Have them as little kids being upset that their captain is being executed. You could even have Rayleigh having a drink. Like, we could have the whole entirety of the Roger Pirates in that audience when Roger's execution occurs, as well as important characters from the future who would have been there at that time. We could even do non-canon things we saw, like young Smoker seeing this scene happen. I remember seeing a theory, or not a theory, I remember seeing like a supposed leak of the first episode script that does involve Smoker as a child, so I'm wondering if that leak is actually true. But as this is ending, we cut to Luffy and a news coup, which, by the way, I'm just going to say it again, the animals and special effects in these trailers look great. Like, the news coup looks just like it should, and that's a relief. Like, they're even paying attention to the little details. They didn't just have a random seagull. They had a seagull with the little hat and the little newspaper bag as it flies off away from him. And Luffy offering the bird to join his crew, the bird flies away and Luffy just goes, mutiny. Which, yes, it's funny. It does get a chuckle out of me. But a friend of mine actually pointed out that I have to look at this as a live action adaptation of an animated series. So my worries about the comedy are still going to be there, but I have to start looking at the comedy of it like a live action show. By that I mean, don't expect things like the Eneru face. We're not going to see a character's, face contort and stretch in intense terror that even I can't replicate because I am a human being. I'm interested to see, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but if they ever made it to Gear 5th, that would be something to behold, because they just have to take the effects from Space Jam and use that. But from there, we cut to a montage of different characters, pirates, fights. We see Mihawk's sword. We see fire eaters and buggy pirates all doing their clowning around, all doing their clowning around, for lack of a better word. And then we get the flag. The Straw Hats' first Jolly Roger before Usopp makes them a proper one. Luffy's. And let me tell you, I want that flag. I want that flag. I need that in my life. I will say it did catch me off guard when Luffy was the one that said we are the Straw Hat Pirates, because I'm pretty sure Luffy has actually never called their crew by name throughout the entirety of One Piece. In fact, Smoker was the first character to ever actually call the Straw Hat crew the Straw Hat crew. But I understand, for the sake of the Netflix series, a few things need to change, and that is extreme nitpicking on my part. From there, we continue through more montage. We see a few more cool scenes. One in particular kind of confuses me. We have Zoro in a well. He's got his sword. He's at the bottom of a well. He's kind of just looking up. Was Zoro ever in a hole? Did he ever get stuck in a hole? Like, I don't remember. Like, I'm just waiting for Bane to show up and just like, you think the darkness is your ally, and as Zoro has to climb his way up like Batman did. I'm not sure what that scene's about, and that's the only scene in this entire montage that kind of took me out of the trailer, because it doesn't invoke any memory of anything that happened in One Piece that I can think of. So if you know what that's about, let me know in the comments, or if you have a theory, because I have absolutely no clue what's up with the well. But the montage comes to an end with Nami and Zoro being stared down by Buggy as his limbs start floating in all sorts of directions, and he just kind of goes, chop, chop! And he throws all of his limbs at them with the chop, chop cannon. And I'll say it again, I know I said it earlier, but the effects look great. I know there's not a lot of devil fruits in the early One Piece. You know, there's Luffy's, there's Buggy's. Alvida's is pretty easy to make special effects, because you probably just swap the actress, or if you have like a smaller actress and you put her in a fat suit for the early Alvida, and then you just take the suit off for when she slims down with the devil fruit, and then you have Smokers. That's pretty much it for East Blue devil fruits. So they can put a lot of effort, a lot of budget into those 4 devil fruits, because that's all they have to work with. Once we get to stuff like the Don Quixote family, and we're in the Grand Line where just everybody has a devil fruit. Baroque Works, very next arc, we've got a ton of different devil fruits there. Mr. Two's in particular is going to be very interesting. But for now, the effects look great. I'm going to say that a couple more times, because everything they're doing so far has led me to believe that they are trying their best to adapt at least the effect of One Piece, the feel of One Piece, just in a live action way. However, on the note of effects, a friend of mine pointed this out to me, and I have not been able to unsee it since. Watch the trailer again. Keep an eye on any scene where Sanji is up in the air kicking. It's kind of painfully obvious he's on a wire. Like the scene where Zoro's on the ground, he's got his swords out, a fishman comes out of the water to get him, and Sanji kicks the guy away. He flies in and then stops so abruptly that it does look like a dude swinging on a wire and then using the kick to, like, stop himself. It's... I'll wait until I see the full episode and, get more of Sanji's kicks, but... that, and then the brief moment he's fighting Kurobe, it does look pretty obvious that they put him on a wire. And that's, I don't know, I'm not huge when it comes to special effects, because I've only ever worked on commercial sets, and I've never done like a big budget Hollywood type thing like Netflix. But there had to have been a better way to pull that off, right? Because it does look pretty fake. From there, we get a bit more of a montage. We see a few more scenes. I gotta say, just from the 2 little clips we saw of it, the scene where Nami asks Luffy for help, I think that's going to be great. Right now, the 2 actors in that scene, the one playing Nami, the one playing Luffy, they look like this scene's going to be great. Because they're both... I don't know. It just looks very accurate, very emotional, very well done, and I'm looking forward to seeing that scene, hopefully in its entirety, and hopefully with the emotional weight that comes with that scene. So the trailer ends with Luffy looking at some wanted posters, two of which include Foxy and Bellamy's, which is weird because neither of them are from the East Blue. But Luffy comments that, this poster, this wall of wanted posters is missing something. My wanted poster. Mine needs to be there. So he's like, why don't I have one yet? So that was a good way to end the trailer. Everything comes to a nice close. We're still waiting for the end of August when it comes out. And that's pretty much it for the trailer. Overall, I would say for the whole trailer itself, I really liked it. It's got my hopes up. However, and this is the only major nitpick I have, or not, I guess it's not even a nitpick. It's just a interest. It's a concern. It's a wonder, if you will. Arlong. Arlong is at Buggy's tent. You see the big clown face behind Arlong as he's turning menacingly towards the camera. There's the scene where Kurobe is inside of the Baratier fighting against Sanji, Arlong bashing through the front door of the Baratier, but we still see the crew fighting at Arlong Park, Luffy destroying Arlong Park. So we know the Arlong Park arc is still happening. So the question on my mind is the intent for Arlong to be the overarching villain of the entirety of East Blue? Is he the man pulling the strings behind Buggy, Kuro, Don Krieg, and the like? Or is he chasing the Straw Hat crew, and he just finally catches up to them at Baratier? Which leads me to the question of, why would Luffy then fight Arlong at the Arlong Park when he could just defeat him at the Baratier? Because I want to make this abundantly clear. If you sit down and really think about Luffy from the start of the story to just a little bit before Enies Lobby, like when he starts using Gear Second, nothing about Luffy grows and changes. Luffy is the same strength he was at the start of the series that he is before he starts Gear 2. Nothing else changes. The same Luffy who punched out Captain Morgan is the same Luffy who punched out Eneru. I want that to be abundantly clear. So saying Luffy needed to train more before he could defeat Arlong at Arlong Park, so Arlong one-shotting him at the Baratier will make sense. No, it won't. It really, truly won't. Luffy doesn't do training arcs. That is not a Luffy thing to do, except for the 2-year time skip where he did nothing but train. Because in his childhood, he spent the first 10 years training, from age 7 to 17, learning how to master his Devil Fruit. So, I'm interested to see what the point is to have Arlong appear at all of these places. My guess from a writer's perspective, from a budget perspective, is because we spent so much money on the makeup and the special effects and just Arlong himself, that we need to show him off in more than a single episode or 2 episodes, however long they're going to be doing that arc. So I'm interested to see what happens and where the story goes from there, because we still haven't, we saw Kuro's claws, so we know he's in it, but we haven't seen Don Krieg. I'm pretty sure he's on the list of actors. I'm going to check after I finish shooting this, but we didn't see a single instance of Krieg. So are we just skipping Krieg? Is Arlong going to just be the villain of 2 arcs? I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it still, though. I want to say, as far as trailers go, the series looks like it's going to be anywhere between a 6 to an 8 out of 10. I don't know if it's going to blow me away, but who knows? We still haven't seen it. There's 8 episodes, so you can't really do it justice in just 2 trailers, and we'll just have to wait until the next trailer to really, really bring it on home, even if there even is one before we get the official Netflix series. I'm looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it because you clicked this video, so I assume you at least wanted to hear somebody ramble on about it. Overall, optimistic, and I hope you'll be too. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.